So today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. In the last episode we had quite a lot of events happening, such as a pretty big war down here in Africa. We had some countries in the Caribbean turn into communism. We saw some countries unite with Indonesia, and a lot more happening, so if you guys didn't watch that video already, make sure to go watch it, well, before this, because, you know. But anyway, let's just get straight into it, and I have to address something first. As in the last episode I did make some miscalculations. I said that this episode would be the last episode of this era, and I got it wrong. It's actually the next episode, so I mean, it might be a bit disappointing, but hey, I just made a mistake. So I apologise to anyone who thought that was going to happen, but yeah, next episode is the biggest episode I was talking about. I just got to get a few things done first before we get to what I'm going to do. First we're going to come down to India, as a really just big event is going to happen, and that's going to be to relating with ideology. India has been a democratic nation for a really long time. However, in the country there's been a bit of turmoil recently. India is a very kind of left-wing socialist country, and what we're going to basically see happen is an election, and there's a socialist candidate, and there's a just kind of wants to do the same thing that we've been doing, or they've been doing for the last little while. There was also this in the last election, but due to some possible rigging by the EU, the socialists did lose. However, there's nothing stopping them this time, and unfortunately for the Indians, socialism takes over the country. This is a lot closely related to the kind of African socialism, unlike the ones that was over here in Oceania, which we can get rid of. I'm just not very good at updating this ideology layer, so, well, I'm just going to do that now. But the AEU is against communism a lot, and it's this is going to kind of spark the AEU to retaliate. And they're going to impose their own sanctions on India, which is weird, because, like, why are you doing this? They were part of your alliance. But India is going to kind of encourage a few other countries, and firstly Bangladesh, they're going to flip actually not just to socialism but full on communism. And once this happens, the EU is like, oh well, just stop doing this in our alliance. And the Indians are basically going to just like go against everything the AU says. And they're going to do something that the AU is not going to very like much, which is going to be very like heavy on the tension kind of scale, which I don't know if that's a real word or not, but you'll see what it is now. As communist rebels will be starting down the side of the Burman country here, and they'll be heavily funded by the Indians, and well, Vietnam and some other countries surrounding here like China, they're going to be able to quickly destroy these rebels. But this is like completely against AU policies, because you're funding rebels from another country. And in a very fast kind of and dramatic move, well, India and Bangladesh are both going to be kicked out of the AU. Yeah, wow, I bet you didn't see that coming. But India, they're going to play the role of the sort of victim here, saying, hey, we were kicked out for just having a different ideology than anyone else. Like, that's just not fair, isn't it? And they're going to encourage other countries to leave, such as this North Indian country here. And they also get the Green Kazakhstan Union country, they're going to leave. And this is going to start to decrease the power of the AEU a lot. And other countries, such as Persia and a few others around the world, are on shaky ground with the AU at the minute, so, yeah. Now, a big reason India was removed because of the red team, or Arabia, they were very persistent on kicking these guys out, because communism is like the least favourite thing in the world at the minute. They've got Egypt, they've got all of North Africa in fact to worry about. There's also the spreading in the Americas, and they're just like, oh, this is not good. And, you know, India's not very happy with this, and I think you can guess what's going to happen after this. As we have the Circle Alliance being made, I actually don't know if I want to keep the shape. As we have a pact being signed between India and Bangladesh. This is basically the Asian Communist Pact, I guess. And it's in direct opposition to the AEU. Now this country will also kind of be forced into it due to, well, just them being surrounded by India and Bangladesh. So they're just forced into this alliance. And India has just become one of the biggest thorns in the side of the AEU. Because India, they're a top 10 power at this point, and well, they are one of the strongest countries in the world. So losing them is just a big loss for the EU in general, and also them just becoming a communist nation, which happened very fast. But stuff like this does happen fast sometimes, so, you know, got to realise that. But to make it for the loss of, I guess, India, which is not going to make up forever, but they are going to be adding this green country here, as well as convincing the brown country to join, as despite the fact that I do believe they are one of the only monarchies left in the world. That is correct, there is only a few. There is this country here, there is Zhejiang, there's this weird country, and then South Africa. These guys are the only monarchies left in the world. There's only about 4, which is a lot less than it was in the last era. But the thing in the EU is going to have a bit of a consequence on the world, as the EU is still like doing good. It's definitely still the strongest economic alliance in the world, which there's a few over here in the Americas, but and there's also the Scandinavian one, but they still have the strongest currency in the world. It doesn't really hurt the kind of economic or currency tides too much, but inside of Shandong, who controls a lot of the economy, or at least in the capital city, the stock market is going to crash. That's going to put the world into a sort of mini Great Depression, which isn't like a big, like huge one like the one with World War, the one after World War II was. This is probably only going to last about like the rest of this episode, which the one in World War II that lasted like 4 years, or 4 episodes. This one is only going to last a couple of years, and well, it's going to have a little bit of effect down here in South America. Other than the AU like temporarily being sort of not really used, you know. I mean, it's doing awful. Like the currency, it's just the AU's economy is down the drain at this point. It's kind of like if the EU in real life crashed. It's not doing great. And all the countries aren't like, they're not doing the greatest in their economy. So RIP you two, like you just joined and then the crash happened. But the South Americans do export a lot from the AU, and the AU actually temporarily cuts off Pacific exports, so they kind of not allowed to go past this barrier. And this is just to help with their own economy. They're going to go kind of isolate for a bit. And this is going to lead to the South Americans' economic alliance not doing very good, as all of these 3 members here are going to decide to leave and pursue their own economical ventures, which just leaves Chile and Argentina down in the south, which shall continue for now because it's still nice to have this small pact, but it's, well, you know, it's kind of a lot worse than it was before. Mexico, though, they may have something else planned, and yeah, it's a little bit fishy, but you'll have to wait and see what that is in the next episode, because it's going to be happening there. It's starting to become hard to do a lot of wars at the minute, because the world is nearly completely, like, nearly every country in the world is in an alliance. We are going to be seeing a bit of an interesting war going on while the crash is going on in the EU, as it will be a bit of a war which we haven't really seen yet, which is a war between 2 members in the EU, and it's going to be interesting to see how they will handle it. But during October of 2011, we have something quite unfortunate happening, as the Manuria country and the Siberian country will be having a kind of mighty fallout about some like trade deals. Everything's just all over the place in the crash and not really able to get investments down here from Shandong. This region is kind of left to fend for themselves. Like, remember I talked about the different blocks in the EU, they're kind of operating a lot smaller, like the core block, which I'm not going to do the whole line thing again, but the core block is a lot smaller than it was in the last few episodes. It's more something like this now. It doesn't include these 2 countries. They're more just like keeping all this area nice and economically good, but this northern area here, yeah, it's screwed. So what's going to happen with the kind of falling of the economy and the Manchurian country not being able to export oil from this northern country, because that is kind of something that happens. They kind of keep all the oil for themselves. They're like, hey, yeah, we're not giving up any of this oil. We have Manchuria deciding, hey, we need this, so what we're going to do is we're going to invade you. Now, in this timeline, the oil exports are a bit different, so there might be some down here in real life, but in this series, a lot is up here. Like, there's a lot that still hasn't been used yet. So we have Manchuria deciding to fully start their invasion. As they start an invasion up into Siberia, and Siberia has 2 capitals here, don't they? They have one right here and one by Lake Baikal. But they are not a very strong nation. They are probably in the, like, they're probably outside of the top 50. So when this country invades them, it's not going to be very nice as they reach up here to the northern part. And they start to abduct a lot of oil, and they kind of hold a lot of the economical, like stuff up here, the oil. They start to mine it like crazy. Like this kind of occupation goes on for probably about I'd say maybe 6 months. This does start to go on during the winter, which makes it hard for 1, Siberia to fight back, and also 2, for Manchuria to hold on. And the AU is like, whoa, this is a bit crazy here, like, why are you 2 fighting? And then Shandong is going to step in and be like, right, you 2, we need you to stop fighting now, because this is really hurting. Yeah, guys, please, just stop fighting, this is just not good at all. But Manchuria will not listen as they push Siberia down here to the edge over here, which is going to be very hard to do. But Siberia is about to lose one of their capital cities, until Shandong will threaten to use their forces on Manchuria if they don't stop within a week, which they most definitely lose that war. So they start to bring a lot of their troops back from these areas here, and once they do something like this, they will go over to Siberia and be like, hey, you know, do we want to sign a peace deal? Siberia will accept, which will officially end this war, and Shandong is relieved because they were scared that this is going to cause another split, which will cause a lot of countries to leave. But they managed to regulate this conflict, and what's going to happen is a new deal is going to be signed between Manchuria and Siberia, which will allow a fair oil kind of export from up here, which they weren't getting before. So that's enough up here. Let's go somewhere else in the world. We're actually going to go to this country here. As previously they weren't allowed in the parallelogram alliance, However, at this point, the crash is sort of affecting the Canadian Union, because the Canadian Union does export a lot from the Pacific, which the Pacific blockade is kind of stopping that export. So the parallelograms are going to take a really big advantage of this, and what they're going to do is kind of snatch the attention away, which they're going to be able to get this country. This is a country they really wanted in the alliance, because one, it doesn't just like allow them to finally have a thing in South America, which it does just do that, but it also kind of, if Brazil ever wanted to take this land back, they wouldn't be able to stop communism in South America. And also, the Canadian Union, it would be hard for them to invade this. Like, they could easily invade these two countries here, but they'd have to go, like, all the way down here, which is doable, but it would be hard for them to do, so they probably try and stay off doing that. But Egypt and Mexico will start to have a lot of kind of shady stuff going with each other, which, like I said, you will see in the next episode what that is, but Mexico, they've been quiet for a long time, and, well, they're about to be loud. But as a sort of, I guess a foreshadowing what it's going to be, we're going to see this happen in this red Mexican country, and we're going to go away now. As we're now probably in the year 2013, it's been a few years, the crash is over by this point, and the economy's starting to recover. I said a few episodes ago, the technology was in the 2020s, now we're around, like, future technology, like stuff we haven't seen yet in our timeline. It's around, like, they have a lot more kind of, I guess, technologically advanced weapons. This world is retro-futuristic, which means there's a lot more sort of stuff going around, and it's a lot more technology advanced. But now we come to Nigeria, as the peace treaty that they had with the kind of Great African War in the last episode, it's over now, as they're going to be able to invade this country, which they kind of want to invade this country because then they can spread the ideology back to communism. These guys did used to be communism at the start of this era, but they lost it, and they're going to lose it. Oh, they're going to lose democracy again as they get invaded. Yeah, okay, yeah, bye. They made the fatal mistake of not joining the alliance, which kind of led to the downfall. And these guys are once again turned communist, and they're also added into the global communist order, which is what it's called at this point. Anyway, in the last bit of this episode, we're going to see a bit of something going down in Africa, which they say is going to be a scramble for the rest of the countries. I guess you could say another scramble for Africa, which is not really, but it's a bit different. And this is going to be the two main alliances in Africa, that is the Years and the Parallelograms, are trying to snatch the rest of the countries, which is going to continue in the next episode. However, first we're going to see it here. As these two, or I guess we're going to see kind of proxies start in this country, as another proxy war will start, but it's not really a proxy war, but it's different, I don't know what I'm saying. But the pro-gear alliance proxy will start in close to the gold country over here. These guys obviously, like I said, want to be with the gold, or not really with the gold country, but in the gear alliance. But then we have a pretty powerful man in this country, I guess you could say the vice president maybe, or one of the leaders of the parties, but he kind of takes over this entire region, which is the more viable areas. And yeah, they look like it's going to be quite easy for this country over here to win. However, there'll be a few kind of pushbacks with the pink team, and they'll try and get over to the capital here, which they just managed to breach the gates. However, then another big pushback right here will start as they push down to the border of the gold country, and then also see a pushback up here as they just push them out. And this country will, unfortunately for the democracies, fall over to communism, which they'll become communist, and they'll also be added into the parallelograms, which now the communists hold kind of a huge thing in Africa. They have complete dominance over the entire continent, and looks something like this now. I mean, they do look like that, and just domination. This officially connects them, that's what I was trying to say, to the kind of southern part of Africa. They connect now completely, and the tension is not going to stop. As in the next episode, we see the rest of these countries try and go over to, whatever side they're going to go over to. Anyway, that's going to be it for today's video. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Make sure to know that the next episode is very important, since it is the last episode of this era. And trust me, there's not going to be another delay for it, trust. Make sure to tune in for that one, because it is going to be a premiere. Anyway, I hope you guys are... Anyway, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.